Imagine this. You awaken to the soft hum of the world around you, birds tracing invisible arcs through the pale dawn, distant traffic murmuring its daily ritual, the faint scent of coffee wafting up from the street below. You rise, unwrapped from the cocoon of sleep, and feel a sudden, vertiginous thrill. This morning, you are free. No schedules, no obligations, no watching over your shoulder. The promise of absolute liberty crackles in the air, electric and intoxicating. Yet, just as you stretch your arms toward the limitless sky, a whisper curls through your mind. What if freedom is a trap? What if, in shedding every external constraint, you become its own kind of prisoner? A paradox takes hold. You, who have been taught to crave autonomy, now question its very possibility. Your heartbeat quickens as you stand by the window, watching umbrellas blossom like flowers in a sudden rain. You feel both power and dread stirring in your chest, as though every choice you might make weighs 1,000 tons. Why does the mere notion of boundless choice fill you with unease? You know that society has praised independence, extolled the virtues of self-determination, yet here you are, trembling at the brink of your own agency. Is this reluctance yours alone? Or is it part of a deeper design, an invisible architecture of fear woven into the fabric of your mind? Consider the unseen cages in which we wander. They are not built of steel or bars, but of whispered expectations, invisible deadlines, and the relentless echo of should. Imagine standing in a hallway of mirrors, each reflection showing a different version of yourself. Dutiful, content, defeated, and realizing you cannot step forward because every reflection demands a different sacrifice. Which self is the real you? Or worse, what if there is no singular self at all, only a kaleidoscope of fragments shaped by voices louder than your own? Here lies the contradiction. We yearn for freedom, yet recoil from its weight. We speak of breaking chains, yet cherish the very links that bind us. Routine. In one breath, you demand autonomy. In the next, you fear the isolation it brings. How did you come to believe that freedom and fear are inseparable twins, locked in perpetual embrace? Perhaps you caught a glimpse of your programming the first time. You chose a path, not laid out by someone else, a fleeting thrill followed by a pang of guilt, as though you'd trespassed on sacred ground. You abandoned a plan, skipped a responsibility, whispered a truth, and colleagues raised eyebrows, loved ones furrowed their brows. Your own heart tapped out a warning beat. Danger. Rhetorical questions swirl. If you are free, why do you second-guess every decision? If autonomy is your birthright, why does it taste bitter on your tongue? And if fear is the price of freedom, what keeps you chained in a fear, even deeper fear of the freedom itself? You sense that this is only the beginning. The true horror is not the fear of stepping into freedom, but the realization that fear has been your constant companion, whispering in your ear, shaping your dreams, coloring every thought. And yet, you have never named your captor. You have only obeyed. Imagine standing at the threshold of a vast plain, the horizon unfurling endlessly before you. The air shimmers with possibility. Every road stretches toward unknown destinies. Your heart pounds, for the moment is both exhilarating and dreadful. To take a single step is to claim your freedom, but also to invite a fear your mind can scarcely fathom. And so you pause, caught in the silent tension between what you've been taught to crave and what you've been taught to dread. The question lingers, echoing in the empty spaces of your mind. Can you truly be free without being consumed by fear? Ahead lies the reminder that this fear is no accident, but meticulously sown by forces both within and without. Ahead, the exploration of the hidden mechanisms that program you to shrink from the liberty you so fervently desire. Ahead, the reckoning with psychological blueprints, philosophical quandaries, and the societal machinery that whispers, stay safe, stay small. Take a breath. Feel the weight of that question pressing on your chest. Notice how your pulse vibrates in your throat. You are standing on the precipice of revelation, and once you step forward, there will be no turning back. Yet the choice remains yours, to retreat into the comfort of your invisible chains, or to venture onward into the unsettling truth that may set you free or break you entirely. In the next section, we will dismantle the hidden problem that underlies this paradox, tracing its roots through the labyrinth of the human psyche and the collective soul of society. Prepare yourself, for to understand the depths of this fear is to begin the journey toward a freedom you have never known. You step back from the precipice of freedom and peer into the darkness beneath there, a chasm shaped by forces both ancient and insidious, carved into your psyche long before you ever dared to taste autonomy. This hidden problem is not a single chain but a Gordian knot woven from myths, conditioning, and the silent architects of your mind. To unravel it, you must venture into the labyrinth of psychology and philosophy, where shadows of thought lurk like sentinels guarding the status quo. At the heart of your hesitation lies a paradox articulated by Friedrich Nietzsche. He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. You long for that why, yet society offers you only a borrowed one scripted by expectations, traditions, and the unquestioned credo of safety. Above all, your values, handed down like heirlooms, glimmer in authoritative frames. The good citizen, the dutiful child, the dependable worker. But these tokens approved by parents, teachers, corporations are not yours. They are trophies awarded for conformity, for staying within prescribed lines. As Nietzsche warned, without forging your own purpose, you remain tethered to a narrative not your own. Carl Jung would speak of the individuation process, the journey toward integrating the fragmented parts of the self into a cohesive whole. Yet from birth, you've been taught to suppress the darker corners of your soul, the shadow, lest you misbehave, ask too many questions, or rock the boat. Every time you silence an uncomfortable urge, you reinforce the power of the collective over your inner life. Your society trains you to fear that hidden self, branding it dangerous, unpredictable. But what if the shadow holds the keys to genuine autonomic qualities you've been taught to distrust? Creativity, defiance, raw authenticity. Arthur Schopenhauer shines a light on another facet of this hidden problem. Your will, the blind striving that powers desire and suffering alike. He posited that freedom of the will is an illusion. You are swept along by unconscious drives, social conditioning, and the relentless tug of want. Yet he also showed that through aesthetic contemplation and acts of deliberate renunciation, one could momentarily transcend the will's tyranny. Imagine realizing that every fear you feel when you contemplate freedom is itself a symptom of the will's self-preservation instinct, the very force that shackles you in fear to protect you from the unknown. Jean-Paul Sartre declared that man is condemned to be free, with no divine script, no cosmic author. You bear the full weight of your choices, and with it, the terror of responsibility. Society, sensing your existential dread, offers you a reprieve, the soothing illusion that your identity and purpose are pre-written, that your path is safe, so long as you stay within the narrow lane. You trade anguish at the brink of freedom for the dull ache of conformity. But at what cost? When you outsource your meaning, you relinquish the very essence that makes you human. Even Aldous Huxley, in his vision of a pacified populace, foresaw how pleasure and pacification could become tools of control. You are not only taught to obey rules, you are distracted with a carnival of comfort's endless media, curated social feeds, consumerist thrills. Each novelty masks the existential void that wide-open freedom would expose. The fear of vacancy, of confronting yourself without distractions, keeps you tethered to a treadmill of superficial satisfactions. You fear the silence, the emptiness, the demand that you become your own creator. Viktor Frankl, having endured the extremity of the human condition, offered a glimmer of hope. Meaning emerges even in the darkest circumstances when we choose our attitude. Yet, the very worldview that he championed radical responsibility for, meaning has been co-opted by a culture, blames the individual for any sense of emptiness. You are told, if you feel lost, it's because you haven't optimized yourself. Thus, your fear of freedom morphs into self-reproach. You fear the mirror reflecting your own perceived failures, not the chains of society. How did these philosophical blueprints embed themselves in your neurons? Cognitive science reveals the phenomenon of social proof, the tendency to mirror the behavior of those around you, especially under uncertainty. From toddlerhood, you calibrate your actions to parental cues. Is this safe? Is this allowed? In adolescence, peer influence tightens its grip. Style becomes safety. In adulthood, the workplace, the media, the marketplace, all echo one refrain: follow suit. Each decision you defer, each aspiration you silence, reinforces neural pathways that equate safety with submission. Over time, your brain becomes a fortress, built not to explore but to defend against the unsettling unknown. Cultural conditioning sculpts this further. Narratives of heroism celebrate those who conquer external foes, tyrants, disasters, but rarely honor the internal battle against one's own fears. You learn that bravery means bold gestures on grand stages, not the quieter courage of choosing an unknown path, of creating meaning in a vacuum. Thus, your fear of freedom remains subterranean, invisible to the very people it most affects. And so you stand at this juncture, haunted by impulses you dare not name, haunted by a yearning for authentic life that you mistake for selfish rebellion. The architects of your fear are legion, ancient philosophers who warned of the burden of will, psychologists who dissected the shadow, modern storytellers who pacify with spectacle, social scientists who reveal the subtle tyranny of norms. All have left their blueprints in your mind, brick by brick, until you can no longer locate the exit. Yet beneath this accumulated weight lies a singular truth. The fear of freedom is not an accident, but a feature. It is the price you pay for the illusion of safety. Every time you retreat from freedom, you reinforce the hidden problem, but you also leave a footprint for escape. In the cavern of your mind, the threads of descent still shimmer, waiting to be grasped. Feel that pulse beneath your ribs, the murmur of something ancient and untamed. The machinery of your fear may operate in shadows, but its power wanes under the light of understanding. In the next section, you will peer into the unseen consequences of this hidden force, how it shapes your relationships, corrodes your creativity, and warps the very tapestry of society. Prepare to confront the silent trap that not only binds you but ensnares everyone you hold dear. The reckoning is coming, and with it, the possibility of a rebellion more profound than you ever imagined. You step away from the map of hidden routes and find yourself in the vast plain of consequences, an expanse so subtly shaped by fear that you scarcely recognize its contours. Yet every footstep you take is guided, every breath measured by an unseen hand. You move forward and begin to see the ways this fear of freedom has bled into every crevice of your life. First, there is your inner dialogue, a relentless loop of self-doubt and hesitation. You feel the echo of "what if I fail?" ricochet against "what if I succeed and everything falls apart?" Your brain is wired to amplify both possibilities, courtesy of the negativity bias, an evolutionary relic that gears you to anticipate threats. In freedom's open terrain, your mind hunts for danger, magnifying the smallest uncertainties into looming catastrophes. You hesitate at every fork in the road, paralyzed by the instinct to protect against imagined perils. Then look at your relationships. You crave intimacy, true connection born of vulnerability, yet you build walls to keep others from seeing the fissures in your soul. You fear that if you reveal your authentic self, you will invite rejection, so you perform. The supportive partner, the amiable colleague, the agreeable friend. Each performance demands rehearsals, costumes, makeup, and with each act, the real you recedes further into the backstage shadows. Your connections become transactions in safety rather than expressions of freedom. You speak in safe pronouns, hedge your truths, wrap your disclosures in caveat. The price of emotional safety is the dissipation of genuine belonging. Consider your creativity. You long to paint on blank canvases, to write words that bleed your blood, to dance as though gravity itself were negotiable. But the fear of criticism looms like a sentinel, its gaze ablaze with all the shoulds you internalized. Creative neural circuits, you discover, require a tolerance for uncertainty and embrace of the unknown outcome. But the fear of freedom has tightened your neural heightening activity in the amygdala, dampening the exploratory circuits of the prefrontal cortex. Every new idea trespasses on your safe territory, and your brain slams the door in its face. So you recycle formulas, mimic trends, stay within well-trodden grooves. The spark of genuine invention flickers and dies. Now turn to your work. Tasks cascade in neat sequences, each one a link in a chain promising productivity and security. You follow protocols, meet benchmarks, climb the ladder rung by cautious rung. Every breakthrough you could engineer remains unpursued because it's not the standard procedure. Your organization rewards compliance. It punishes deviation with gentle reprimands or veiled warnings. You learn to muzzle your curiosity at staff meetings and to swallow your insights at performance reviews. Over time, the ecosystem of your vocation becomes an echo chamber of the safe and familiar. The fear of freedom ossifies into corporate culture. Beyond your mind and heart lies society itself, a tapestry woven from fear's silent threads. You navigate systems designed to channel your yearning for autonomy into pre-approved outlets. the latest self-help fads, the next productivity hack, the newest trend in intentional living. Each promises liberation but delivers only reconfigured shackles. Social media algorithms track your clicks and serve you dopamine-less distractions when you teeter too close to reflective thought. Political rhetoric offers stark binaries: choose this leader or face KSOU. Trade the vertigo of genuine self-determination for the comfort of casting a vote in an arena defined by others' rules. Cognitive dissonance arises when your inner longing for freedom clashes with the safe harbor of conformity. To resolve this dissonance, you dismiss disquieting voices, those books you never read, those conversations you never start, that inner calling you never answer. You decorate your life with affirmations like you are limitless, while the foundations beneath remain unmoved. The dissonance doesn't vanish. It seeps into your bones, a chronic ache you mistake for mere restlessness. Look closer and you see how this silent trap extends to the collective. Communities shrink in scope because no one dares to step outside the agreed scripts. Innovation stalls. Movements fizzle when pioneers hesitate at the precipice of true disruption. You feel the pull of solidarity in sameness, even as you mourn the slow death of originality. The cultural unconscious hums with a low-frequency drone of stay safe, stay small. It lulls you into acquiescence, insisting that the price of your comfort is perpetual precaution. And then there are your dreams. Remember the ambitions you scribbled in a journal at 17th, the places you wanted to explore, the questions you wanted to pursue, the people you wanted to meet. They now lie dormant, buried beneath obligations and realities. You tell yourself you'll return to them later, when conditions are perfect, when you've saved enough, when your skills are honed. But perfect conditions never arrive, and your dreams age into regrets. Fear cements them in amber, museum pieces of what might have been. This is the urgency. Every moment you surrender to the fear of freedom, the unseen consequences accumulate like toxic sediment. Your psyche grows brittle, your relationships become simulations, your work a series of prior-proved motions, your society a slow-moving quad that avoids the uncharted. You risk arriving at the end of your life having never encountered the true terrain of possibility, and still, a single ember of defiance glows within you. You feel it in those rare flashes of discontent when boredom blooms into rebellion, when a song stirs unspoken longings, when you catch sight of an untamed horizon in a stranger's faraway gaze. That ember is the prelude to a breakthrough realization, a crack in the dam of fear that, once widened, can unleash a flood of autonomy. But the dam must still break. At this moment, the weight of unseen consequences presses down, threatening to extinguish that timid glow. Before that glow is snuffed out, you stand at a crossroads, maintain the fearful status quo, and endure the slow erosion of your humanity, or risk the collapse of the dam and face the torrent of freedom unknown, perhaps dangerous, but alive. The call to rebellion looms, but you are not yet ready to answer it fully. Ahead lies the path to break free, to shatter the invisible trap and reclaim the full potency of your agency. Yet first, you must steel yourself for the storm. In the next section, you will discover the blueprint for rebellion itself, a radical shift that will redefine the very idea of freedom. Until then, feel the weight of these unseen consequences and let them stoke the embers of your discontent. You stand before the fissure in the dam, an imperceptible crack, where that single ember of defiance peeks through. The air around you thrums with tension. Behind you, the crushing weight of unseen consequences. Before you, the uncertain roar of unleashed freedom. To step forward is to rebel against every script you have ever learned. But what if that rebellion is not an act of grandiose defiance, but a series of simple, radical reversals? First, invert your relationship with fear. You have believed that fear signals danger, that it is the guardian preventing you from leaping into the abyss. But what if fear is, in fact, a compass pointing toward freedom's frontier? In every moment you feel that tightening in your chest, when your palms sweat, your breath shallows, recognize it as evidence that you are on the cusp of growth. The Stoics taught that the obstacle is the way. Fear is not the enemy. It is the herald announcing opportunity. Each time you invite fear in and walk alongside it, you weaken its power. You rewire your neural circuitry to associate discomfort with expansion, not retreat. Second, reclaim ownership of your narrative by embracing micro-rebellion. You need not renounce your job, sell your home, or wander off into the wild. Instead, Choose one small act that contradicts the prevailing norm. Write an unguarded paragraph in your journal expressing a truth you have withheld. Speak up in a meeting with an idea that feels half-baked but utterly yours. Spend a morning without checking your phone, listening fully to your own thoughts. These miniature uprisings accumulate like guerrilla raids on the fortress of conformity. Each victory, however modest, cracks another brick from the wall. Consider the example of Rosa Parks. She did not stand on a soapbox and deliver a proclamation. She simply refused to yield her seat, a micro-rebellion that ignited a movement. Or look to Nikola Tesla, whose unorthodox experiments refused to obey the common-sense rules of his era. His persistence in questioning accepted limits reshaped how humanity understood electricity. Your rebellion need not be world-shaking. Its power lies in its authenticity. When you align your small defiance with your deepest values, you forge the habits that will carry you over the threshold. Third, recalibrate your sources of validation. For too long, you have outsourced your worth to external metrics. Likes, grades, promotions, accolades. To rebel, you must internalize the locus of value. Begin by crafting your own criteria for success, grounded in intrinsic satisfaction rather than social approval. Ask yourself, what action today will make me proud of myself when no one else knows what I did? What choice will feel like a gift to my future self? Keep a ledger of these moments, private tokens of authenticity that remind you, in the desert of conformity, that you are not lost. Next, cultivate creative solitude. In the hubbub of daily life, you have traded silence for safety, net-sendless podcasts, playlists, notifications, but solitude is the crucible of self-creation. Allocate deliberate time, 10 minutes or an hour, to sit with your restless thoughts. Without distractions, your mind discovers new patterns, ventures into uncharted territories. It is in these moments that you converse with your shadow, the unspoken desires, the forbidden questions. You emerge from solitude bearing gifts, nascent ideas, fresh perspectives, and a deeper sense of self that no algorithm can commodify. Then, forge an alliance with accountability. True rebellion need not be solitary. The most radical transformations occur in communities of mutual challenge. Seek out kindred spirits, people who are also tired of the silent trap and willing to risk being seen. Form a pact to share your micro-rebellions, celebrate each other's breakthroughs, and hold each other to radical honesty. In this crucible of mutual trust, you dissolve the fear of judgment and witness the powerful magnetism of collective courage. Iron sharpens iron. When one of you steps into the unknown, the rest feel emboldened to follow. Historical precedent beckons again. The Bloomsbury Group in early 20th century writers, thinkers who rejected Victorian propriety to live and create on their own terms, forever altering the landscape of literature and art. Or the lesbians and gays support the Miners' Alliance in 1980s Britain, when marginalized groups banded together across social divides to challenge oppressive systems. Their solidarity became a reservoir of strength that neither prejudice nor protocol could drain. Finally, adopt a beginner's mindset. You have been schooled to perfect your chosen role, to master existing rules. But freedom demands curiosity above expertise. Approach your life as if you know nothing, as if every sensation, every impulse is a novel puzzle waiting to be explored. Ask why until the world grows strange again. Allow yourself to stumble, to fail, to learn. When you embrace the uncertainty of a novice, you dismantle the tyranny of expectation. The cracks in the dam widen, and the torrent of possibilities surges toward you. With these shifts inviting fear, practicing micro-rebellions, internalizing value, cultivating solitude, building accountability, and reclaiming beginners, when do you begin to inhabit your own rebellion? Not a fleeting act of defiance, but an unfolding way of being. Each breath you take beyond the walls of fear etches new neurons, forging a path where none existed. You feel lighter, more alive, as if gravity itself has loosened its grip. Yet this rebellion is only the prelude to the ultimate truth. For once you have tasted autonomy, you will sense that the dam you cracked is part of a far greater structure, one that extends beyond your individual psyche into the collective imagination. The final revelation awaits, a realization so profound that it will redefine freedom itself and reveal the hidden purpose of all your struggles. Hold tight to your ember of defiance. In the concluding section, we will confront the ultimate truth, a revelation that will cast everything you have learned into a new light and invite you to step into a freedom you never thought possible. The revolution of your soul is nearly complete. The final curtain risen. You stand on the edge of a new dawn, the echo of your micro-rebellions still ringing in your bones, and feel the horizon shift beneath your feet. All the lessons, the paradox of fear and freedom, the hidden roots deep in your psyche, the silent consequences that corroded your life, the radical acts of rebellion have prepared you for this moment. Now comes the ultimate truth, the revelation that reshapes everything you thought you knew about yourself and the world. Imagine the sky fracturing like glass, each pane revealing a different sky beyond. You realize that freedom is not merely the absence of constraint, nor the sum of your choices, but a far more elemental force, the creative act of existence itself. You are not a passenger on life's train, nor the architect of a Puritan blueprint, or the very impulse that animates reality. Your will, your consciousness, your fear, your delight, they are not properties of a passive mind but sparks of a universal fire. Freedom, in its deepest sense, is the recognition that you and the cosmos are co-authors of every moment. This insight crackles through you like lightning. All the battles you waged against expectations, routines, inner doubts were not about escaping chains, but about awakening to your role as creator. Fear was never a barrier. It was the gateway marker, signaling a crossroads where you must choose between sleeping and becoming. Every shiver of anxiety, every pang of guilt, every hesitation was the universe's way of saying, you stand at the threshold. Will you step through? In this new light, the invisible architects of your fear take on a different shape. They were never your jailers but your heralds, guiding you toward this primal realization. Nietzsche's will to power is not a lust for domination over others, but the surge of creative energy that demands expression. Jung's shadow emerges not as a malign specter, but as the hidden workshop where the raw materials of your soul wait to be forged. Sartre's condemnation to freedom transforms into an invitation to daring authorship. The burden of choice becomes the exhilaration of creation. You understand now that autonomy is not an achievement but an ongoing performance, the continual choice to speak, to act, to breathe your truth. Life is an improvised symphony in which every note you play shapes the coming cadence. The structures of society, the rituals, the rules, the narratives are not immutable laws, but agreed upon stories waiting for new storytellers. You can heed their script or become the poet who writes a different ending. Feel the weight lift from your shoulders. The dam has shattered, and the torrent of possibilities surges through. You sense, not chaos, but a living matrix of potential. Each thought you think, each word you utter, each gesture you make ripples outward, co-creating reality with every other conscious being. This is the profound interdependence you have long denied in your quest for isolated freedom. True liberty is not solitude but participation in an intricate dance of autonomous sparks, igniting the collective blaze. And so, the paradox resolves itself. Freedom and fear are not antagonists, but partners in an eternal duet. Fear sharpens your attention, alerts you to the threshold of transformation. Freedom invites you to answer the call. You no longer tremble at the brink, you pulse with anticipation. Life is neither safe nor predetermined. It is a masterpiece in motion, and you are both painter and canvas. In this vision, the world itself transforms. The office corridor becomes a stage for your creativity. A simple conversation is an act of co-creation with another soul. The blank page is not a void, but an altar waiting for your impulse. Every sunset becomes a manifesto, every heartbeat a revolutionary pulse. You walk through the streets and see in the curve of a lamppost the glance of a passing stranger, the rustle of leaves, 1,000 invitations to participate in the cosmic unfolding. This ultimate truth carries a responsibility, not to hoard your autonomy, but to kindle it in others. Compassion becomes the purest form of rebellion. When you help someone else step across their threshold of fear, you co-author a new verse in reality's song. Your own liberation reaches its apex when it becomes the spark that ignites freedom in those around you. Now, with the dam fully broken and the floodgates open, you glimpse an infinite landscape of creation. The distinction between creator and creation dissolves. You are the world experiencing itself. The walls between self and other, past and future, solid and void, melt into a shimmering continuum of creativity. Every choice is a brushstroke on the ever-unfolding canvas of existence. So step forward with your head held high, your heart aflame. Let the tremor of fear fuel your leap into the unknown, and let the orchestra of freedom play its first triumphant chord. You carry within you the power to transform not only your own life, but the very fabric of reality. This is the ultimate truth. You are the freedom you seek. The universe awaits your next act.